What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about the best attackers and the best defenders for Season 12 of Battlegrounds Week 1 and 2 and also the victory track. So this is going to be a very interesting season because they're actually introducing Alliance War tactics. We have a Decay tactic, which is for our attackers, and then Stevia Pill with Sugar Pill. So Stevia Pill and Sugar Pill are for the defenders, and they're very identical. So let's grab the Stevia Pill first. So making contact with the defender has 100% chance to grant the attacker a 13-second placebo buff max 5. A max charges, you will refresh them instead of reapplying a new one. So this is like nothing too crazy, like on its own. But Sugar Pill actually is kind of dangerous even on its own. So it's the same thing, except whenever a buff expires or is nullified from the opponent, there is a 50% chance for the defender to gain an unstoppable passive for 5 seconds. So passive is definitely kind of hard to counter. You can either nullify it or like stagger it. So this is going to be, it's going to be a pain. So now let's talk about the Decay tactic. So the Decay tactic completely counters Stevia Pill and Sugar Pill. So you're immune to placebo buffs, and whenever you trigger a buff immunity, you inflict a 20% Wither debuff on the opponent lasting for 8 seconds, which maxes out at 5. So basically, you're going to be immune to placebo buffs, and you're also going to inflict Withers, which it will give you 35% resistance to damage over time effects for each debuff on the defender. So basically, 3 hits, you're going to be able to tank every single damage over time effect, which is really great. It counters a lot of defenders. And also, when you knock down the defender, there's a 25% chance per debuff active on them to inflict a 10-second slot debuff. So basically, with a full 5-hit combo, you're going to inflict 5 Withers, and if you knock down the opponent, you're going to have a slow, which means you just counter the unstoppable. So if you see a Stevia Pill or Sugar Pill defender, and you have a Decay attacker, you completely counter the node. So that is just the best counter for those defenders, those type of defenders, Sugar Pill or Stevia Pill, is Decay tactic attackers. So that just, yeah, completely counters the node. But there's also another node called Prey in the Weak. So whenever the defender gains 3% of their max power, each time a buff is nullified, expires, or is removed. So if you don't have a Decay tactic attacker, you are not going to be immune to the placebos. And, you know, those re-trigger when you're being aggressive enough, so you don't let them expire. But if you can't be aggressive due to like something that the defender has, and you have to like wait it out, all of your placebos will fall off, and the opponent is going to gain power. So in the victory track, it's not that big of a deal. They gain like 3% of their max power. But when we get to the Gladiator circuit, that is when the fun begins. So basically, they have Prey in the Week 4 in this, which means they gain, instead of 3% of their max power, 5. And also Staggering Beauty, which means whenever you're close to the defender, you gain a staggered debuff, which that staggered debuff is going to nullify your next buff. So if you're trying to be aggressive enough to, you know, keep refreshing those placebo buffs when you don't have a Decay tactic attacker, you will be staggered. And that stagger is actually going to nullify one of your placebos. And there is a 50% chance the defender goes unstoppable. And they're also going to gain power from Prey in the Weak. And if they're a Mystic defender, they will gain power gain from Mystic Dispersion as well. So Gladiator circuit, if you don't have Decay attackers and you're facing a Sugar Pill defender, it's going to be a very tough fight. Like, I'm not going to lie, there's not too many champions that can do those type of fights against Sugar Pill defenders. But in the victory track, it's going to be a lot easier because there's not the Staggering Beauty. So you can't just go aggressive and never let those placebos expire. But now, let's talk about the best champions for this season. So I'm going to talk about the Science class first, which has most of those Decay tactic attackers. So we have Spider-Gwen, Void, Anti-Venom, Morbius, Spider-Man, Spider-Ham, She-Hulk, Sandman, Hulk, Cassie, Ant-Man, Quicksilver, Luke Cage, Photon, Silk, Titania, and Captain America Infinity War. So basically, if you use those champions and you face one of those type of defenders, you are going to be super safe. And also, if you don't face a Stevie Bill or Sugar Bill defender, the node doesn't really do too much to you. Like, there's no way you can get buffs on you. So Prey in the Weak is not going to do much unless you use like someone that has a bunch of buffs on their own. And Staggering Beauty isn't going to do too much for you. So you just completely counter the node with those type of attackers. So those are definitely the safest ones. Now, there's more science champions that can actually counter the node though without being a tactic. This one is Spider-Man 2099. He's not a tactic, but he's actually completely buff immune. So he's going to work exactly as good as the others. Because you're basically going to be immune to those placebo buffs. But the only thing is you're not going to apply the withers. But you can also apply those withers yourself if you need them. So you just, you know, counter the node with him. A very good option if you don't have most of those decay tactic attackers. Also, there is Red Guardian, which is completely buff immune as well. And he kind of like fuels himself up with gaining durability when he's immune to a buff. So he's going to be a little bit better. And there's two more. There's Human Torch if you face a Mystic Defender, which there's going to be a lot of Mystic Defenders in this meta. Human Torch can probably deal with it before you just, you know, take his first 3 to the face because he's super fast. And lastly, there is Overseer. Overseer is actually immune to Nullify, Fatal, and Stagger. So he's going to counter Staggering Beauty. So as long as you're aggressive enough, you just ignore Staggering Beauty. And it's almost like you're fighting, you know, a victory track defender. So he kind of counters the node really well as well. Now, the skill champions, we have a lot of those decay attackers as well in here. So we have Kate Bishop, amazing. I use her in Alliance War as well. Massacre is a good one as well. Killmonger, Jabari Panther. Stealth Suit is going to be super fast. Blade, Ronin, Hitmonkey, Gwenpool, and Thor Ragnarok. So those will counter the node as well, being a decay tactic attacker. Now, there is 4 to 5 more champions that I think will actually work good for the node. And one is definitely Valkyrie. She completely counters even passive unstoppables, I'm pretty sure. And she also has, you know, buffs that last forever. They're indefinite. So she doesn't really care too much about Prey in the Weak. The only thing with Valkyrie, you don't want to be too aggressive. Again, because, you know, she can still get placebos because it's with contact. So even with the block, you're probably going to get those placebos on you. And there is a chance Staggering Beauty just, you know, destroys you. But even if that happens, she just counters unstoppable. The only thing you have to worry about with Valkyrie is, you know, fighting a Mystic Defender with like extra Mystic Dispersion. Now, also there is Shang-Chi. You know, he's got like the easiest access to slow. The only thing about Shang-Chi though, be careful because he's actually got some precision buffs. And Prey in the Weak might get you. But you're going to be safe from the unstoppable because the slow that he has. Now, there's also Hawkeye. You know, he doesn't have too many buffs. He's got a slow and he's heavy. He could work if you got like a 7-star Hawkeye. I'm not saying he's going to be the best, but he could work if you don't have an option. Now, there's also Kingpin. Kingpin, you know, he can stack those Staggering Beauties on him. If, you know, if you play this well enough and you don't have a buff on you when Staggering Beauty comes, it's not going to, like, stagger it. It's going to stay there, and he should be able to purify if there's, like, that timing. So, let's say you have, like, 5 placebo buffs on you, and you close to the defender without hitting them, you're going to get that Staggering Beauty. And he could shrug it off and kind of like fuel himself. I'm not saying he's going to be like super crazy, but he could work and he could be a decent defender as well with his annoying special 2. Now there is also Zemo. Zemo has that cleanse, which, you know, he's super fast. It's so fast. So honestly, he should be able to like completely remove the staggers because they're debuffs and kind of like root the opponent faster than normal. He could work, I feel like. Now, for the mutant class, there's not a single tactic attacker in this one, but there is some champions that are going to work. There is Archangel. He can definitely shut down Staggering Beauty. I did it myself. I tested it before making this video, so Archangel is going to be a beast. There is also Danny with a passive slow on the special 1, which lasts for 20 seconds. So, you know, she does have buffs, but I think the prowess, they are indefinite. And also, that passive slow is going to counter, you know, the node, the passive slow. So she's going to be decent there for sure. if you don't have all of those attacker tactics. And then Domino might be able to do something stupid with Staggering Beauty. I'm not too sure, but maybe. Magneto is gonna be able to hack the Staggering Beauty node at the most part with his Magnetize if the opponent is a metal champion. And also included Sunspot because he can kind of like keep your distance, generate that power quickly, and maybe kill the opponent faster. He doesn't have any buff, so a 7-star would definitely be a good option. Now for the tech class, there's 4 champions that I think are gonna be decent. Civil Warrior, he's immune to Stagger, so he's gonna be okay. You know, if you don't have a good option, he's going to be a decent one, especially if you got like the 7-star. Being immune to Stagger, you just completely ignore the Staggering Beauty, but you still have to worry about your own buffs. That's something you keep in mind. Omega Sentinel is amazing. She has armor ups that don't have a duration. They basically stay there, they're indefinite, so there's no way, you know, something expires and the opponent gets power. And she's also immune to Stagger as well. So she just completely counters everything as well. Nimrod, I feel like he's going to be decent. He's got a lot of buffs, but Nimrod also has like the very potent, you know, cowardice and power drain. So the opponent is not going to be able to get to a special 3 even if they can't, if they want to, with that power drain constantly being there. So I feel like he's going to be okay, but not the best. And then lastly, Viv. Viv is same thing with Omega Sentinel, immune to Fate Seal. So she's going to work really well. She's got indefinite armor ups. So I think she's going to work really, really well. I wish I had mine at rank 4 actually to test her out. Maybe I will. Now, there are 2 champions that are tactic in the Cosmic class. We have Terrax. So he's going to work really well. I can't find Terrax. Yeah, there he is. He's going to work really well with the tactic. And then there's also Angela. I'm excited to use Angela because I have a 7-star one. And she should be really, really fast. Now, there's also CGR who has like a Damnation. So you're going to be able to like power lock the opponent when your buff expires. And they shouldn't be able to get power. But it's actually going to be really tricky to get your buffs before they get staggered. I'm not too sure if you can do a full 5-feet combo to get that power gain and the vigilance before you get a Fate Seal on you. But I'm definitely going to try this out. There's also Hercules. You know, his buffs last for a long amount of time. So you should be able to finish fights really fast with him. If you're like aggressive enough. And also, there is Galen. Galen is completely immune to Fate Seal, so he's going to work very, very well as well. He's got indefinite buffs. The only buffs that he's got with Timer is like the special 2 and the special 1 buffs. So you could go for a special 3 to like be super safe. So he's definitely going to work out. Now, the Mystic class. I don't think there's going to be too many good champions for attacking this season. The only 2 that I included are like Diablo and Longshot, because they can kind of like keep their distance off of the opponent with their like party heavy playstyle. And you're not going to get too many staggers on you. So I think Mystic class is mostly going to be defenders in this season. Now, for defense, the best defenders are mostly Mystics, because Mystics are actually, where is it? Yeah, those are the Stevia Pill and Sugar Pill defenders. So all of those are going to be amazing. And only like 5 or 6 are not Mystic. So Red Skull is not a Mystic. There is also Darkhawk, Vision, Vulture, Mysterio, and Hulk. The rest are all Mystics. So you definitely want to stack up as many signs as you can, because most of them are actually like tactic as well. So every single one of those defenders is going to have Stevia Pill or Sugar Pill. So you definitely want to have as many of those as possible. And there's also a couple that I think are going to be a little bit tricky. There is Jessica Jones from the Science class, which, you know, she's super aggressive. She gets you in the corner so fast. And if she gets you in the corner, you're going to get a lot of those staggers on you, and you're going to be in trouble. But here's the thing. You counter Jessica with a slow. So let's say someone has, you know, a decay attacker, and let's say Titania. Even though Jessica is not a Stevia Pill defender, you can still have a few debuffs on the opponent, knock them down, and then apply the slow to actually counter Jessica. So there's like, Jessica is like good for the season, but she could be countered with anyone if you have, you know, decay tactic. So I'm definitely going to include her though, 'cause she's pretty tanky and she just corners you really, really fast. And I do not like fighting her. So there's also going to be Void. Now Void, he kind of like forces you to be aggressive, and if you're too aggressive with Staggering Beauty, you're gonna have a problem. So I think he's going to be really great. There is also Korg, which is gonna prolong that fight. Really scary for him to get to a special 3. There's also Killmonger, where you kind of like have to be aggressive when the reverb is actually down. So he's definitely gonna prolong the fight if you don't want to take damage. There's also Domino. There's not too many tech champions that can counter Domino this season. Like, Shuri isn't going to counter her really well. Nimrod isn't going to counter too well. There could be mistakes. Omega Sentinel and Viv should be able to counter her really well, though. But it's only like those two that can counter like super, super well. And then we also have Weapon X. You know, he's got that weird playstyle where he's just super aggressive at some point. And if you're like too aggressive to like get out of the world or something, placebos are going to get you. And there's also like 4 more defenders. We have Warlock. Warlock, he kind of like wants you, or you want to have like buffs. So if you bring like a Cosmic, like a Hulkling that has a lot of buffs, this node is going to get you pretty weak, because those debuffs are going to fall off at some point, and he could get fueled up to special 3 if he just doesn't want to, you know, cooperate. There's also a Cosmic champion, Cersei. You know, she's very annoying with the glancing. And you just want to be super aggressive when the glancing is off cooldown. And she also has like some short power gains. She's pretty tricky. I feel like, you know, that many specials she can throw. Even if she throw like special 2, special 1s, she's going to throw too many of them. So the fight is going to last forever. There's also Terax. Same thing about Weapon X. You know, he's super aggressive sometimes. He's going to get you in the corner, especially at the start of the fight. And there, lastly, is honestly a very good defender, which I do not want to face. Ebony Maw. This is probably like one of the best defenders, because this guy gives you a Fury on the special 1. Which means if you have a Stagger on you when you try and bait a special, because you're like being close to him, and he gives you that Fury, it's immediately going to get nullified, which is going to give you the degen. So Ebony Maw is going to be a very big problem, you know, in this meta. You just need to have like buff immunes and just be able to like counter him. But yeah, man, it's gonna be really tough to build up a deck in this season, but I really hope this video helped you guys. I'll make an individual video for the next meta, which is gonna be probably a lot more fun and probably trickier with that Hazard Sift. But we gotta get through the first week first. So yeah, guys, hopefully this video helped you, and if it did, please give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.